Aha!
Morning. Off to Moo Land again. Get this old steering lock off. Look at that. Just a deterrent. Right, what are we up to then? Oh, classic off. What are we up to? Well, I've swapped the cars round at work. 72 is out of the garage under its cover, and the rotisseries with the 76 on is now in the garage. Turn it into a bit of a booth type thing, so lots of pre-paint prep going on there, but that'll be in another video, but that'll be coming soon. But the next couple of videos is about making these two videos are only little short videos. Well, they are for me anyway. These two videos are about learning about the Nissan Micra drive shafts, making sure I select the right ones, because there appears to be a lot of different drive shafts due to changes over the years from the old pre-facelift Micras, automatics and things like that. Seems to be a number of different pot joints and CV joints, so I've got to get the right ones. I don't want to start joining drive shafts together and find out I've been messing with the wrong ones. So there's a bit on that. There's a bit on measuring and trying to determine the length of these hybrid drive shafts. Anybody's interested in that, but obviously just bear in mind that I'm dealing with the sorry, just concentrating to digging the road up. Yeah, just bear in mind that I'm dealing with the 1.4 engine, and the drive shafts will be a different length for the diesel powered engines, because the gearbox is smaller, I think, on the diesel powered Micra engines. So just bear that in mind. So that'll be the first video. The second one will be all about how I'm going to join these bits of drive shaft together, and the process involved in that. So hopefully that will be a success. So yeah, that's these two videos, and then hopefully after that they'll be back onto the painting and painting of the shell and the doors, the bonnet, the boot, the subframes, the roll cage which I've bought, little bits and pieces, trying to get them epoxied up at long last. Looking forward to start getting some final paint on, and maybe a bit of pre-assembly, which will be good. So yeah, plenty to do. We're into October now, so there's no more shows until the indoor one next January. But fucking four-wheel drives, standing up. So yeah, that's what's coming up. I appreciate you watching the video. Leave me a comment, just so I know you're out there and you exist, or just leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Share the channel if you can. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. Hope I get to Moo Land safely. Cheers, see you later. Right, let's have a look at what we've got here by way of the Micra drive shafts. On display we've got two sets of drive shafts which I've acquired over a period. We've got the drive shafts which came with the Micra engine, which is the 1.4 coil pack engine. We've obviously got the passenger side and the longer driver's side. Just looking at these in isolation then for the coil pack engine, what you'll see is a similar outer CV joint. There are some subtle differences with the faces just behind the bearing face there. That one's got like a double shoulder on, and that one hasn't. Whether they're just difference in the makers or there's a difference there for a reason, I don't know. I can't imagine there'd be any reason why they're different, but again, the same thing with the inner pot joints or the inner CV joints. Very similar at the back. Obviously different to a mini one because the splines go into the diff rather than the other way around. But as you can see, there's a exact design between the long and short drive shafts for these kind of planetary CV joints here, but they run into completely different pots. You've got the circular pot there, and then you've got this kind of trapezoidal shaped pot here on the passenger side one. Again, maybe that's just down to individual makers or producers. Maybe this one saves a bit more money, maybe it's cheaper to make. This one's got Hardy Spicer on it. That one has got no manufacturer's mark on there, but similar, well, sorry, identical diameters. They've got these rubber, I'm presuming kind of rebound type things going on in the middle of the drive shafts, which the classic Mini hasn't. But obviously a distinct pair of coil pack drive shafts there. Looking at these two here, this pair as overall lengths compared to these are pretty identical. The CV joints, the outer CV joints rather, again, they've got this, three of these have got this large stepped diameter just behind the bearing face there, but they're of a similar design. Again, these rebound rubbers, but as we can clearly see on this pair here, this planetary gear inner pot is exactly the same as that one. So this drive shaft here is basically the same as that one in length and diameter and design, but this shorter passenger side one and this pair has got a more of a mini-esque type pot joint with the cage, which is just inside there. Look, that the bearings pop into, more like that. That's it. And there's six bearings in there, and the diameter of the drive shaft goes fat and then thins out at the end. Until I get these off, I can't tell whether this one is comparable to that one, whether you can kind of interchange these things. But once I get these gears off the back and get these back down to the bare drive shafts, I'll be able to take a few more measurements. So yeah, coil pack left and right, and I believe this pair here with their weird short one with the mini-esque CV cage joint, I believe these, and I'm pretty certain, I believe these are off a automatic, and I think it was a 1300 automatic, from what I was told. So maybe there's somebody out there who knows a bit more about what you get with different sized engines and automatics, non-automatics. You know, how do these things alter with the age of the Micra? But looking at it, these are the ones we're going to use. I've just got a outer mini CV joint here for comparison to the Micra one, and as you can see, they're massively different. The mini one has got a massively fat shaft on the end, large diameter splines running around there, much bigger diameter than the Micra one, which doesn't matter because we're not using these outer Micra CV joints. I've got to whack those off, and I'm presuming they just hammer off in the same way that these hammer off. Well, what have I learnt about these Micra drive shafts? Not a lot really, I've got to be honest. Pushing that mini one to one side. They were the automatic ones, a little bit thinner, mil or so thinner than these manual ones, which would have been on the 1.4 CGA3 engine. The two long ones, the automatic against the manual ones, are quite similar, apart from the outer CV end, which is thinner and smaller, designed for a smaller CV outer joint. The short one, both ends are smaller and thinner. The one at the outer end for the smaller CV joint, and the inner end for the smaller pot joint with the cage and bearings. So I can use this long automatic one because I'm only going to be using the internal end. This bit here will be waste, and then I can use the two internal ends here for the drive shaft conversion, which use the tripod inner CV pot type joints there, and again these two front bits of the drive shaft will just be scrap. So yeah, I've got 3 drive shafts I can use. I've got a spare one just in case I balls it up. Take you off the tripod now, and I'll show you how I've established the drive shaft length I am going to need. The drive shafts, the hybrid drive shafts that is, back end Micra, front end Mini. I've got to decide how I'm going to get those, whether I'm going to make them myself or buy them. But let's get you off the stand and we'll have a butcher's. So coming round to the passenger side, just put the light on. I've got the top arm in, as you know. I've got the bottom arm in and functioning. I've cut away that piece of the box gutter. The big knobbly thing has now been removed. The suspension goes up and down, but I haven't fully tightened the ball joints. This is just for reference. I've got the hub on. I've got the outer CV joint in. I've got the 7.5 inch disc drive flange conversion kit. I've got that done hand tight. So the outer CV joint, the mini one, is now in its relative position. I've popped the Micra inner CV joint in there, and all I did was measure to the shoulder there, where the mini, whatever you want to call that is, washer hits. So I've measured from that point there, the front face that washer, which hits in against there just before the splines. So I've measured there. I've measured to the back of the pot joint inside. I've got that measurement. I've deducted half of the depth of the pot joint to allow maximum movement of the drive shaft as it's moving up and down and turning on the CV joint. I've then remembered to add on the part forward of this collar on the drive shaft, and I've done that exactly the same on the other side. On the driver's side, bring the light round so you can see. The only thing different on this side is the pot joint. Instead of being that clover leaf type shape, it's circular, that in a pot joint. I've popped the mini drive shaft in there, the short one in there. So you can see that shoulder I was on about, that washer on the drive shaft smacking against the back of that cage on the CV joint. So again, I've measured from there, where my finger is, from there inside the pot joint, deducted half the depth of the pot joint, and then added that little bit on. And my dimensions from tip to tip on these two drive shafts are, for the long one, 565 millimeters, and for the short one, 285 millimeters. Just got to now, like I say, decide whether I'm going to make them myself using one of the various techniques of doing it, or buy them as a all pre-made, heat treated, continuous drive shaft. But again, they're going to cost probably about 500 quid then, so it's quite a lot of money when I've got the drive shaft sat here, if I can figure out a way of doing it. Because the ones I've seen fail when they've been welded in-house, it's generally a rotation brake. I don't think they ever pull apart that way. It's a rotation sort of torque brake, and I've got an idea of possibly how I can do that, but I'll share that idea with you on a later video, just to figure out whether it's going to work. So yeah, I think I need to decide what to do next now. It's about time I put some paint down, really. I keep putting it off, but I can get the subframes painted and get the shell painted, but I need a really good run at that. I need some time. I can't rush it by giving myself half an hour here and half an hour there. But learnt a little bit on the drive shafts, not much, like I say, but I'm pretty confident on what the size of what these drive shafts need to be.